what my mom had to have gone through to send her 7-year-old son to live in an institution and not be a part of his daily life. So, since I wasn't, so anyhow, I started working at Camp Robin Rogers right after college. I had an opportunity to work there as a music specialist and work with kids with special needs at their summer camp. And that led to my job at the Allen County Board of Developmental Disabilities. I have helped people work at Miramar Industries on the workshop floor and learn new jobs. Helped do some follow-up services for people who work in the community and have different jobs in stores, restaurants, that type of thing. Coordinated and monitored services. That's what I do now as a services support associate. Make sure that they have the services that they need, Social Security, DJFS, benefits, and that sort of thing, like Medicaid, food stamps. Making sure that the staff are treating them right. So that's what I'm doing now. I've also been a part of their ALPA program, which is a disability awareness program that goes out into the schools and into businesses, and I work with some individuals with special needs who actually do the presentations and can tell their story to people in the schools and the businesses. I've worked on the Behavior Support Committee for over 20 years and have trained a lot of people in positive behavior support. So anyway, enough about me. So as you're here and hopefully wanting to be a part of the special needs ministry, you might be thinking, so what do I do? How do I work with these people? I don't know anything about them. So I'm here to talk to you about some of the positive supports. The first thing that we need to know is that communication is key, both ways. Listening to them and also talking with individuals with special needs. Some tips on how to communicate. Just be friendly, be very welcoming to them, as you would with anyone else. Because what we're here for is, just as Jesus met us where we were and helped us along, that's what we're here for the individuals with special needs. To meet them where they are, and meet whatever needs that they have. So just keep in mind that that's kind of why we're here. Always have a smile on your face. Ask them things that are specific to them. How's your week been? And in talking with individuals with special needs over the years, I have tended to talk to them about everything about their life, and it kind of feels like sometimes I'm being too nosy about their life and that sort of thing. It's okay to ask general questions, but you also need to share some things about your own life. That's how you can build a good relationship with that individual. Sometimes I'll say, well, I have 3 children, and then we're able to start conversations. A lot of times the clients that I work with, they'll say, well, how's your son doing? And did he get married? How's he doing since he's gotten married? And what's your youngest son doing? Is he still playing music? And it's just nice that they're able to not just talk about themselves, but actually to interact with the individuals that they're working with too. Use positive body language. Try to maybe shy away from, like Peggy had said, doing a lot of hugging, unless that individual needs the pressure. Like someone who has autism might need to have some pressure, and they'll let you know if they need that or not. I recommend like high fives, handshakes, nice little pat on the back. Those are some good positive ways of body language. Use different ways to communicate. We all use different ways to communicate, with our voice, with our body language, with gestures, nods, a rub, or a pat on the back. And the individuals that we're working with might use different types of communication also. Some might be able to communicate in ways other than their voice. Like Karen was talking about, they might use a communication device, where they might use sign language, or they might use gestures and facial nods and raising their eyebrows and that sort of thing. Don't just assume what people know and what they don't know. I had a story of one of the individuals I work with. His name is Michael. And Michael has severe CP. And I met him about 21 years ago when he came to receive services from the county board. Nonverbal, and that he was able to raise his eyebrows and roll his eyes and that sort of thing, smile, frown. And I remember when I first started working with him, I thought, well, I'm just going to try to use some picture symbols with him. And it might be a picture of someone who says that they're hungry or they're thirsty, or it might be a picture of a restroom. I need to use the restroom. So I worked really hard and got all these pictures together, and I showed them to him, and he just kind of rolled his eyes and laughed at me. And I'm like, what? So, and I don't know how it was I determined it, but I figured out that he was able to spell. So I got an alphabet board, and was able to rig up a pointer for him to use, and he was able to spell things out this alphabet board. So then that led to getting a communication device, and now he's able to program that communication device on his own. And he is just a very, very smart man. And I had no idea when I first met him. I just assumed that he wasn't going to be able to communicate with me. And that was the wrong assumption, obviously. And he has been, with the Apple program that I talked about, he was one of our first presenters with special needs who would go out into the schools and tell his story. And I'll tell you, when he went out and told his story, that was so impactful to everyone who listened to him. It was just amazing. So anyhow, just don't assume anything about anybody, just like you wouldn't assume anything about anyone else that you would meet. Okay? It's really important to establish expectations. Our expectation is that each individual will be able to participate in church activities to the best of their ability, in their own way. Whether it's in junior church, or it's in the sensory room, or in Awana, or MAD, or in the sanctuary. We want to be able to meet their needs wherever they are able to be. And we need to start where that person is. For example, with working with Fletcher, there in junior church, I don't know if you guys are very familiar with the way it's set up in the basement, but the first room that you walk into, there is an airplane there, and it's a big airplane. It's longer than this table is. It's got a propeller on it, you can sit in it and that sort of thing, and it can rock back and forth. And the first several Sundays that Fletcher came, he was very enamored with this airplane. And he liked to rock it, he really liked the propeller part of it. But that was in a different room from where everyone else was. He was still able to hear the message and see everybody and hear everything, and that was okay. That's fine. That's where he needed to be at that time. After a few weeks, then we tried to, we encouraged him to go to the program, but he didn't want to. So what we did instead is we set a chair next to where the propeller was in the airplane, and Fletcher likes to be held. He likes that pressure, he likes to be hugged. We would sit on our lap and he would spin the propeller, but he still would be able to hear the message. And gradually we were able to work it into where he was actually in the room with the other kids, sitting in the chairs in the back, sitting on our lap, but he was able to see the TVs and watch the different videos and see the interactions with the other kids and that sort of thing, and hear what Dustin was talking about giving the messages. And last week we were able to get him to sit on the bench, which was a huge thing. But even these little small steps, they're just big steps for him.
And we're learning his communication style. One week I was with him, and he basically asked me to hug him. And I hugged him, and it's kind of a pressure hug, it's not just a normal hug. And wrapped his arms in your arms, and I hugged him, and I started to let go. He wasn't done. This was in the room where the airplane is. So he's learning to ask for what he needs. And we're learning to recognize that. And then, as soon as we were done, he walked in the room with the kids, and he needed that pressure before we went in the room. And we were all able to recognize that that's what he needed. He was able to understand that we knew what he was talking about, which was really cool. I think he learned to trust us and that we do know when we are paying attention. It's very cool.
And it's really cool because the other kids will come back and they'll talk to him. I'll just say, well, he's shy, you know, and that's why he's not talking right now. And but you know, it's really cool to see them coming back and interacting with him. They don't have any preconceived notions or prejudices or judgments like some adults do. So that's just really refreshing to see that. So it's been very cool to work with Roger. So I have a lot of notes and they're really big because I have a visual disability. So if I'm stumbling over anything, it's because I can't find my spot on here. So
If you
there.
need help, just let me know.
Okay, all right. It's really important to be patient. When you say something, then say exactly what you mean and be very specific. Wait a little while to allow that person to process what you're thinking. Because as we talked about this morning, sometimes the other influences, with the other sounds and senses might be interrupting with that thought process. And sometimes if you have a cognitive disability also, it will take a little while to process what that individual is trying to say for you to understand, to be able to respond. Let's see. Try to avoid saying things like don't, no, or stop. Instead, say something in a positive manner. Instead of saying don't run, say please walk with me. It's much better, nobody likes negativity in their life, right? And you don't like to be told not to do something. Wouldn't you rather be asked to do something nice in a nice way? So that's real important. Don't ask a yes or no question unless you're willing to accept a no answer. Okay, and that's very important too, because if you say, well, you want to go downstairs to junior church, and somebody says no, or they pull away, then what are you going to do? So instead, you should say, hey, it's time to go downstairs. Let's go downstairs, let's turn the light off, come on. And sometimes it's good to use it's done, we're done. We use that with Fletcher when it's time to move on to something else. Okay, we're done here, it's time to go down to junior church or to come back up to the room. So, okay. And along those lines, it's important also to let them know that things will be happening ahead of time. Let them know, hey, in 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to be going downstairs. That gives them time to kind of wrap things up in their mind, get things put away, prepares them for a change. A lot of times the transition time can be very overwhelming to someone because there's the movement, there's the change of environment, there's the change in the different stimuli that you're going to have. One of the things that we try to do is we'll stay in the sensory room for a while until like the commotion is done with church starting, with all the check-ins and that sort of thing. So we're kind of avoiding that. And we wait until that's all done before we go on the stairs. Building trust is important to being successful and helping people learn about that. You should be consistent, keep your promises, and follow through with what you say you're going to do. That helps to build trust. Avoid using baby talk. Talk to the individual the same way that you talk to them about with anyone else that is that age. Communication with the person, with the parents when they're dropped off or when they're picked up is very important. You can learn a lot from the parents about what's going on with that individual, how their mood is that morning, what has been going on that week for them and that sort of thing. And it's also important to communicate with the parents when they pick the child up. Tell them about the positive experiences that they had while they've been in junior church or Awana or whatever program that they've been involved with. It's always good to have positive feedback.
And it's really hard when your child is nonverbal. I mean, think about it. If you have someone that you love that's nonverbal, and they come home from school, you don't have a communication book that people wrote in, or you have no idea what they did that day. And you can't then have a conversation with them about their day. If you know what they did, then you can bring that up, and you might be surprised how much they will appreciate that. I know with my son, we had a communication book, which was really helpful. And so I would bring some things up, or even sometimes they would send home some visuals, or even pictures I would get sometimes. And he just lit up when we could talk about his day. And so that was really positive.
Make sure that you're aware of crowds, noise, the temperature of the room, the ventilation, sometimes if it feels stuck. I mean, we all have these issues sometimes with the environment that we're in. The smells, the color, the lighting. Let's see. These can all have an effect on how people act. If you need to, change the environment. Give people the space that they need if they need it. Know who you are working with. And this will take some time. Everybody's an individual with different needs. But you know, I know Fletcher, but I don't know JT as well. Or I might not know the next person, but it's going to take a while. We've been working with Fletcher for 2.5 months now. So I'm still learning more and more every week about Fletcher. So it's going to take time to learn the individual that you're working with. Just as it takes anyone that you become friends with, it takes a while to know everything about them, right?
The
Yes.
parents will appreciate your wanting to know about their loved ones.
You have a question?
I was just wondering about bathroom issues. I mean, do we have to take them at a certain time to the bathroom, or?
That's one thing that we'll talk with the parents about. We have an information sheet that Melanie fills
I
out.
meet with each family,
Yeah.
if possible. My plan is to meet with each family, whether it be an adult or a child, and kind of ask these specific set of questions, which would be bathroom things, and kind of go over that with them, and have them visit the church when there's not a bunch of people here too, to see the facility, see where they'll be, and kind of do that. I think if we can do that, I think that's gonna make their first visit a little more positive and a little, it's scary as a parent
Yeah.
to trust somebody else with your child. And very often these individuals, some of them may have been hurt in other churches, told not to bring their loved one. You know, we have to be ready for that possibility to have happened, because it does happen, unfortunately. So,
And that's one thing, it's really important to talk to the parent as they're dropping them off. If they feel like that individual needs to use the restroom, might need to use the restroom during the ministry time, they'll tell you exactly what needs to happen.
maybe signs that they have if they don't speak to let us know, and things like that,
Sometimes people will make movements or sounds that don't make sense, or that might annoy you. And we all do this. We all have things that we do that might annoy other people. Let's see, some of the things might be like tapping your fingers on the desk, might be tapping a pencil, might be cracking your knuckles or your neck. And some people, that just really bothers them when they hear things like that. Chewing gum and cracking it, maybe bouncing your leg, I do that a lot. So, what are some reasons that we do those things? Anybody? Nervous, okay. What else?
Something bothering you.
What's that?
Something could be bothering you.
Something might be bothering you. What did you say? Okay. What?
Bored.
Might be bored. Right. It might be to relieve stress. It might be fear of the unknown. It might just be nervousness. So there's a lot of reasons that we do that. And so that helps us to cope with the situation that we're in. And a lot of times, people with autism, they're trying to regulate their sensory. They're trying to figure out how to feel like everyone else. And so they might have some nervous energy they need to get rid of and that sort of thing. That's how people can deal with some of the extra stimulus that's in their environment. Okay. Reinforcing positive behaviors is important. And this can be done in many ways. It might be done with verbal praise, saying, hey, great job, or you rock, wonderful, way to go. It might be a gestural with like a thumbs up. It might be physical, like a pat on the back or a high five, or a cool handshake that you develop with that person. It might be something that is tangible, like stickers or quarters, like in junior church. When the kids walk in, they get a quarter if they go in. So that's kind of been one of the reinforcers I've been working on with Fletcher, because he likes to have quarters. So he goes in, I get the quarter for him because he's not ready yet to go get the quarter for himself. But he holds on to it. He likes to hold quarters. Bye, honey. And then those kids can use it for a candy machine where they can keep it for themselves. So that's pretty cool. Getting upset. So what are some reasons for people to get upset? What do you guys think? Somebody with special needs, what would be some reasons that they would get upset about things?
I didn't get what I thought I was gonna get.
Oh, okay.
My routine changed.
Routine changed?
I like that. I like to have a plan.
Yeah? They were told no? Okay. It might be the inability to communicate. Don't know, I'm trying to tell you something and you're not understanding. I can't say it to you. I don't feel well. It's too hot in here. How can I get you to understand? And so sometimes it's just especially folks with autism will have a meltdown. They'll just be like, I can't tell you what I want. And so that might cause a meltdown of some sort. Also, it might be feeling of failure or fear of being rejected. A lot of times people with special needs do feel like they've always failed. They've never been able to live up to the expectations of other people. Or they've been rejected. They've been made fun of by children and adults, unfortunately. People are just not very kind sometimes to people with special needs. It might be a symptom of an illness, or I have to go to the bathroom. I can't tell you I have to go to the bathroom. Or I feel, that pizza didn't set well with me, or something like that. And even some people that are able to speak and are verbal, sometimes they're not able to find the words to tell you what is wrong. It might be because of outside stimulation, it might be too noisy, it might be too many people, there might be too much sensory input. It might be the size of the room, or acoustics, or colors. It might be the textures, or the traffic flow. And I think that we've all kind of seen some of that today, haven't we? So, if someone is getting upset, just use calming techniques. For example, you can practice deep breathing with them. To say, let's do some deep breathing, and model that for them. Go do that maybe 5 times with them, okay? Count to 10, rub their back. Those sorts of things can be very calming. Redirect them to another activity. For example, if they're in the sensory room, offer something that you know that they like, that has had a calming effect on them in the past. Somebody might like the water toy and how the beads go down. That might be very calming for them. Or the bubble machine, or something that's tactile, something that they can hold. That might be very calming. Myself, I love the turtle that vibrates. That's very calming.
You're gonna hold that while you
Yes, I love going to hold that, but I'm okay. I think I'll make it. I might need it afterwards.
Okay, I'll go get it.
Okay.
Just in case.
Always offer an out in situation. If it looks like somebody's getting upset, say, hey, would you like to go back upstairs to the sensory room? Or hey, do you want to go for a little bit of a walk? Or just offer something, some way out of that situation.
Right here.
Thank you.
Gotta take care of you now.
Who has autism here?
We all do.
Does anybody have any questions about any of that? Yes.
No, like you said, when the parents comes with their child, and then just go ahead and ask them, okay, are they able to communicate, or, and if not, just then find out what the way they communicate in order to find out what their.
And that's one of the things that Melanie is doing when she meets with the families, and we'll share that information before you work with that individual that you're going to be working with. We'll have that information and
And
you
it
can
is
ask
very
us specifically.
important. Yeah, definitely important. Because how would you like to go somewhere? Let's say you went to Spain, and you don't speak Spanish, and maybe you don't even see very well, so you can't read body language. Your hearing isn't great, so you can't really even hear the sounds around you. And you try to ask for a glass of water. Good luck with that. You're not going to know. So
Right.
we really need to know how people communicate. And we're going to make mistakes, but we're going to try our best. Go ahead. Can't have questions.
Okay, one thing that with this ministry is you're never alone, okay? There will either be Melanie or myself with you. And so if there is any need at all, there hasn't been at all, and I don't anticipate that there will be, as long as we're using the positive strategies.
So you will not be taught that kind of thing, because we're not making people do things they don't want to do. This is a church and more of a positive, we want it to be a positive experience, and a pleasant experience. And so you have a lot less issues when, at school, they make you do things you don't want to do. They may even do that in another environment. But here, we're really going to try within reason to accommodate and make sure they have a positive experience. So, but both Julie and I have training in that area. But I would certainly call the loved one, the guardian, the parent, if we were having issues, and let them handle the situation. That would be my first response. So, but yeah, you won't be alone.
Any other questions about that? Okay. I have a video that I would like to show you, and it's called Just Like You. And we'll be working with people with many aspects of disabilities. This is specifically about people who happen to have autism. And it's about 3 different individuals and the people who love them, and how autism has affected the folks that love them, and it's about different ways that autism affects the individuals that have it. So we'll go ahead and watch that.
Hi, my name is Morgan, and Brooke is my best friend.
Hi, my name's Brooke, and I love my friend Morgan.
Hi, my name is Austin, and my friend Tanner is cool. You should meet him.
Hi, I'm Tanner, and it's great being friends with Austin.
Hi, my name is Addison, and I love hanging out with my brother Christian.
Hello. 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 My name is Christian.
Hi, my name's Amy. I'm Christian's helper.
Miss Amy makes it easier to hang out with Christian.
Hi, my name is Trent Green, and as an NFL quarterback, it was part of my job to deliver information about our game plan to my teammates, to help them be the best players they could be. And now I have the opportunity to share information that I've learned about autism with you, to help you be the best friend you can be.
When you meet someone who's a little different than you might be scared or uncomfortable.
And that's okay.
Okay. Okay.
Because anything new is a little scary at first.
But once you learn more about it, you get used to it.
Because then you have the knowledge, and knowledge helps you understand.
And understanding makes it easier to accept.
All of us are different.
No one is exactly the same.
We all have our own talents,
characteristics,
Strengths.
and challenges.
I have autism.
Autism.
I have autism.
Autism can mean a lot of different things.
Some kids who have autism seem like a typical kid, and it only impacts the way they act and communicate in certain situations.
That's the kind of autism I have.
And with some kids, autism impacts the way they act and communicate all the time.
That's the type of autism I have.
And sometimes, autism impacts kids so much that they might not be able to control their bodies. Or communicate by speaking, like my brother.
Me.
No one knows for sure why kids have autism. Scientists and doctors are working hard to figure it out. What we do know is that autism affects the way the brain and body work. For kids who have autism, their senses, thought processes, communication, and body movements happen differently. It causes them to experience the world in a very unique way.
Austin's brain processes things differently than mine.
Morgan senses things in the world in a unique way.
It's called autism.
Autism is not Christian's name or who he is. So please don't call him the autistic kid.
Please.
Because Austin is not just an autistic kid, he is just a kid who happens to have autism.
I'm just a kid with autism.
Autism is not a birth defect.
It's not a disease.
It's not contagious. It's not like a cold. You can't catch it.
Autism is just something I was born with.
It's something I live with. I will have it my whole life.
It's just one part of who I am.
It's just one part of my brother's amazing self.
Autism affects the way kids take the world in through their senses. Situations that seem very normal to most people can be extremely painful to kids with autism. Specifically, autism can impact kids' eyesight.
Autism affects the way I see.
Some kids with autism have vision that is blocked in the middle, like this. Like someone is holding a hand in front of their face. They can only see the sides or just one side.
Others have the sides of their vision blocked and they can only see in the middle.
But this makes everything blurry or double vision. It can make kids feel sick or disoriented.
Another way autism affects kids is that lights may blind or hurt them or give them headaches.
That happens to me sometimes.
Or sometimes kids see two pictures instead of one. Like your eyes are crossing all the time.
That happens to me sometimes.
Christian's eyes don't talk to his brain the same way mine do. So even though Christian's eyes have seen ice cream before, they don't tell his brain what it looks like.
I love ice cream.
When he sees ice cream again, he doesn't remember what it is, but his other senses remember it. So he can feel that it's ice cream or taste that it's ice cream, but he can't see that it's ice cream.
It would be like trying to figure out what something is with a blindfold on.
The only way to tell is by touching, tasting, or smelling.
That's why Christian puts things in his mouth or touches things over and over again. He's just figuring out what they are.
Yes.
When you have autism, your vision may work in these different ways.
So it's easy to understand why kids with autism may have trouble looking you in the eye or looking at presentations at school.
Or why I have trouble writing, or walk with stiff legs, or poke at the sides of my eyes.
Seeing the world like this can make kids feel tired, overwhelmed, and frustrated.
Christian loves to listen to you and look at you, but it's kind of hard for him to do it at the same time.
When you see the world like this, it makes it hard to play sports, catch balls, or watch movies.
That's the autism.
But a lot of kids with autism can see things just fine.
Christian loves going to the movies. It doesn't bother his eyes at all.
Love.
It doesn't usually bother mine either.
Morgan only has trouble with lights sometimes. We turn the lights down for Morgan during drill team practice when they hurt her eyes.
Every kid is unique.
But seeing the world in a unique way can be great.
Historians believe that the famous artists Pablo Picasso and Michelangelo both had autism.
They created amazing works of art with the way they saw the world.
Our uniqueness makes us who we are. Christian loves to draw.
Autism can impact kids' sense of hearing.
Autism affects the way I hear things. My brain can't ignore noises.
Austin's brain hears everything all at once at the same volume.
Sometimes it's hard to be in the classroom because I hear everything all at once, and it makes it really hard to concentrate. The sound of my own voice comforts me, so I start to hum or rock back and forth. It helps me.
Sometimes Christian flaps his arms or leaves the room.
That's just autism.
A lot of kids with autism hear just fine.
I love to listen to great music.
Chatting in the hallways with my friends is one of my favorite things to do.
Having this unique way of hearing can be great. Historians believe that the famous composer Mozart had autism.
With the way he heard the world, he created amazing music.
Our uniqueness makes us who we are.
I'm really good at playing the piano.
Autism can also impact kids' sense of smell.
Autism affects the way things smell and taste to me.
They get a really bad headache if I'm around someone who wears a lot of cologne or is a smoker. The smell of hair products makes me feel like I want to throw up.
Christian really doesn't like the smell of cleaning products or mouthwash.
No.
That's autism.
But a lot of kids with autism have a sense of smell, just like anybody else.
I don't like the smell of skunk, but I don't think very many people do.
Autism can also impact kids' sense of taste.
Christian is really sensitive to some foods, so he brings his own gluten-free treats to parties.
I have trouble eating eggs. They don't taste good to me.
But all kids have things they don't like to taste. I don't like spinach.
Autism can also impact kids' sense of touch.
Autism affects the way I feel things. Some things really hurt my skin.
We had a drill team uniform that was made of crushed velvet. It felt like sandpaper on Morgan's skin. She waited till the last minute before the routine to put it on.
Tight clothes make me feel claustrophobic, like I'm in a straitjacket.
Christian hates tags on his clothes. I think they're really scratchy to him.
Yes.
And I have some sweaters that are pretty scratchy to me too.
When someone touches or bumps into me unexpectedly, it hurts. It feels like an electric shock. It shoots up my arm and burns.
Like when I was 5 and I stuck my finger in an outlet. I'll never forget that.
That's just autism.
Kids with autism love getting hugs when they expect it or know the person well.
Hugs feel good. It's just pressure everywhere. In a nice way.
Christian likes it too. He even wears a special vest that has weights in it to make it feel like he's getting hugged all the time.
Having a unique way of feeling the world can be great.
Historians believe that the scientist Sir Isaac Newton had autism.
The way he felt the world allowed him to discover gravity.
Our uniqueness makes us who we are.
It's possible for all these sensitivities to hit at once. Eyesight, hearing, feeling, and sense of smell.
It happens especially in public places, or sometimes in a classroom. Bright lights overhead, kids talking about their weekend, the teacher typing on the computer.
The whirring of a fan, the smells from the cafeteria, cleaning products. The kid brushes past, and it feels like an electric shock.
Sorry, me, rock back and forth.
Makes me feel like I'm gonna run in the restroom, bang my head, hold my hands over my ears, and close my eyes.
Christian just wants it to stop.
Once I learned how painful it can be for her, I understood why Morgan sometimes acts differently.
I understood why with all that chaos bombarding him every day, it might feel good for Austin to do things in routines.
Routines are comforting to me.
I like to do things in routines.
But if something in the routine changes, it could be painful for Morgan, so I try to help her with it.
Another way for kids to cope is to spend time with an item that is familiar.
Christian likes to hold on to this hula hoop when he's upset. It just helps him calm down.
That's autism.
I do certain things in my life to cope too. When I'm nervous, I twirl my hair.
I get in trouble for biting my fingernails.
We all have unique ways of dealing with the world.
Our uniqueness makes us who we are.
Kids who have autism process the world differently. Some kids process in pictures, others see only patterns, and others memorize facts about certain subjects.
Morgan's brain sees everything in pictures. It's like she does a Google search that can only bring up images, but she has a photographic memory.
I have a 4.0 GPA, and I've received the Presidential Award for having all A's for the past 3 years. I really like school.
Austin's brain sees everything in patterns. It's like a Google search, but when you search something and you're only seeing groups of letters, The cool thing is, it makes them incredible at math.
Some kids with autism process the world by memorizing facts about a certain subject. It would be like doing a Google search only about movies or baseball or superheroes.
Because kids with autism see the world differently, they also communicate differently.
Morgan doesn't read social cues, facial expressions, or voice inflections. The only way she knows how I'm feeling is if I tell her.
I care a lot about how Brooke is doing. I just can't tell how she's feeling just from looking at her. And I'm taking classes to get better at it. But sometimes, even if she's yelling at me, I can't tell what she means. I can't tell if she's angry or trying to get my attention or happy. It could be any one of those things. It's just how my brain works.
You can't tell how a robot feels because its voice and face is always the same. That's how Austin sees people, just kind of neutral.
Another way that kids who have autism process the world differently is that they do not hear sarcasm and take words by their literal meaning.
Austin has a hard time getting my jokes. I usually just explain why they're funny.
If I would say, break a leg, Morgan, she would literally think I was wishing her to break a leg. So I just don't say that. I say good luck.
I only know how to say what I mean. At least my friends always know that I'm telling them the truth.
I never have to wonder with Morgan. She would never talk behind my back or lie to me. I can trust her 100%.
I understand that Austin says whatever comes to his mind. I know he doesn't put social filters on things. I never take it personally, though. That's autism.
I don't have a choice. It's just how my brain works. It's autism.
I can talk pretty loud and get kind of hyper.
That's okay, so can I. Everyone has their own way of communicating.
Christian doesn't communicate by speaking, but he understands everything. Christian is learning to communicate in other ways, by using picture cards, sign language, and using his iPad.
Peyton Goddard couldn't speak or control her body, but when she learned how to type on a special keyboard, she wrote a book, poetry, and graduated from college at the top of her class.
Sometimes it's important for kids with autism to be by themselves.
Christian likes to be alone sometimes, but most of the time, Christian loves to be around people, even though he can't talk to them.
And kids with autism can take social classes to try to learn social cues so they can communicate better.
Because I like hanging out with my friends.
I have been taking social skills class for the past 6 years. Having friends is really important to me.
Morgan and I have been friends since middle school.
Once you learn about what autism is, you get used to it, because when you have knowledge,
you understand.
And it's easy to accept. I love being friends with Morgan.
Austin is really cool to be around.
I love to hang out with my brother. No matter how hard my day has been, no matter how tired I am, Christian can always cheer me up. He loves me no matter what. He can't tell me in words, but I can tell the way his face lights up when I walk into the room.
Morgan is always her genuine self. She doesn't judge people. She puts her whole heart into everything she does, and does it so well. And she does it all because she loves it, not because of what people think about her. Watching Morgan inspires me to open up and be myself.
I love hanging out with Austin. Every time I'm with him, I learn something. He's always giving me a new way to look at things. He helps me forget about the everyday worries and to just be in the moment.
I really care about my friends.
I care.
It's easy to be a good friend to someone living with autism.
Just treat them like any other kid.
Any other kid.
Just treat me like any other kid.
Please.
And help them when they ask for help.
Don't baby them.
Sometimes I need help, and I will ask you for it.
And just like any other kid, if they're behaving in a way that makes you uncomfortable, ask them to stop. Or get a teacher to help understand what's going on with your friend.
I like it when Brooke helps me calm down.
We have a signal. Just bring it down.
And if you can slow down.
I can understand you better if you slow down and speak plainly.
I visualize everything. So it helps me understand if you write something down or point to a picture.
And please wait for me to finish talking. Sometimes it takes me a while to say something.
If you can be patient, you can find a friend that will change your life forever. It's awesome.
And if you take the time to understand Christian, you will find out how smart and funny he is.
And it's helpful to ask your friend with autism about their sensitivities and help them avoid those situations.
Loud noises can really hurt my ears.
It's easy to turn down the television or ask your friends to keep it down.
Please know that kids with autism never want to hurt your feelings or make you feel uncomfortable.
I can't see it when something I'm doing is annoying Tanner or hurting his feelings. So I like it when he tells me. It helps me learn.
I just tell Austin that hurt my feelings and he doesn't do it again.
Because Morgan is just like any other kid. She wants to learn, to grow, to fulfill her hopes and dreams for her future.
I plan to go to college and get married someday.
And like any other kid, kids with autism want to be included. Christian loves it when he gets invited to a party. It may seem weird at first to have an adult around all the time, but you'll get used to it.
I'm just here to help so that you can do anything you would do with Christian that you do with any of your other friends. I can teach you how to communicate, hang out, and be a good friend to Christian.
It's worth it to hang around Christian.
I like it when Tanner invites me to play video games with him.
He beats me a lot.
Morgan is good at a lot of things. Just like any other kid, kids with autism love people giving them compliments.
And just like any other kid, kids with autism don't like it when you call them names or say mean things about them.
Sad. Sad.
I don't like it when people use the R word, even when you're saying it about a situation or about yourself. It hurts my feelings.
No matter how you use those words, they're always insulting to whoever you are talking about.
So please don't use the R word.
Or any other mean words.
We know you don't want to hurt anyone.
Everybody makes mistakes, but when you know better, you do better.
And if someone is being hurtful, it's okay to stand up for your friend with autism.
It's okay to teach that person about autism.
Maybe that person just doesn't understand or have the knowledge.
You can give them the knowledge they need to understand.
You can just show them this video.
Because when you have the knowledge,
The knowledge.
When you know what autism is,
You understand.
Understand why kids with autism may seem a little different.
Understand that we are all different in our own ways.
and when you understand, you can accept.
Accept. Accept.
Accept that some kids have autism.
And they're still just a kid.
just like you.
Just like you.
Just like you. Just like you.
Just like you.
No, and while I've been blessed to have a brother that has special needs, and to be able to work with people with special needs for so very long, a few years ago, someone else entered my life, and my husband's daughter, Sarah, has autism. It's been a very big blessing to be able to visit with her and to get to know her better. Unfortunately, she lives in eastern Pennsylvania, so I don't get to see her very often, but it's just been a true blessing to get to know her better. So this is another reason why I do what I do. So I'll turn it over to you.
We actually have some pictures of people that we love that have autism, many other special needs on the table over there. They've kind of been our inspirations. Several of the ladies on the committee love people that are differently able, or they have a friend or somebody. This is Fletcher. Fletcher, happy to meet you. Oh, yeah, pretty cool. But anyway, I want to thank you all for coming today. This is our first training. We addressed a lot of things we are currently working with, autism being one of them. Autism is 1 in 88 now. We're going to see a lot of people with autism probably come through our doors. And so we address that. As we go down the line more, if we have other needs, we will train on those as we go along. So we really appreciate you coming. We're going to videotape all the trainings, and Pastor Aaron is going to put them on our website so you can just watch them and on the website. We also may do a showing. We'll just have to see how we do it. But I want to thank everybody for coming. Pastor Scott, this church has been awesome. The support that I have gotten for doing this ministry has just been a huge testimony to me. I've done this in other churches. I've never had the support that I've had here. It's just been phenomenal. So I love this church. So thank you, Harvest Baptist Church. But anyway,